What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys the full spoilers for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga chapter number 24. So I do want to say first things first, some of you may have seen my last video. I did warn that this month unfortunately I wasn't going to be able to get the spoilers out as fast as I usually do, and I know I'm pretty late to them this month, but better late than never. Let's talk about what's going on. I'm definitely excited to see. I have somewhat of an idea of what happens in this chapter, but I don't know everything. So let's have a look. And I do also want to say, first part of this is going to be a lot of tech spoilers, and then as I get through further in the video, I'm actually going to have the panels shown a little bit to an extent as well. And we do have pretty much the whole chapter out in terms of panels and pages. So, yeah. So, shout out to Felix for this information. The cover this month is Kawaki with his karma and his bow staff. The chapter itself is titled Uzumaki Kawaki. So, I'm not gonna lie, when I read that the first time, it kind of hit me a little bit because just reminded me again of how much the reality's changed here, and just thinking about what Boruto's gone through so far to this point of the story, because of this whole swap we had with Kawaki going on. The chapter starts with a Kawaki and Boruto flashback atop of the Hokage heads. Boruto gives Kawaki one of his Flying Thunder God symbols. Then we see the second sneak peek where Kawaki's absorbing the Biju Dama fired by Jura, so the tailed beast bomb, if you guys didn't know that. No Momoshiki manifestation this month, so he does not return. Jura appears behind Kawaki and tries to attack him with his middle claw mark finger, but Kawaki dodges using his shrinking. Here's the actual color page of the cover. Looks pretty cool. I think this is better than last month's cover, which was a little bit more of a mixed reaction with Jura. So pretty cool to see this cover and see that some people earlier when I was looking at it were liking this cover more. So cool stuff there. Kawaki summons 4 black cubs to crush Jura, but he snipes one, partially destroying it. Boruto gets away from it. None of the 4 cubs landed on Jura. I think this is actually meant cubes, because I actually saw this part earlier too, and I was wondering, does Kawaki have like some sort of summoning now? Maybe some sort of animal like cubs of that, but cubes makes a lot more sense, and I know I saw a page that had cubes, so that's what that's referring to. Kawaki appears behind Jura, uses the big hand to send Jura flying away, but he gets on his feet fast and tries to attack Kawaki with his claw mark middle finger, but it gets blocked by his bow staff. Kawaki's bow staff versus Jura claw mark finger happens pretty much, and then we see that first sneak peek image that we had that dropped a couple days ago. Kawaki seems to be able to amp his bow staff with Karma's explosive power, and it blew off a part of Jura's waist. So another big blow dealt to Jura. He does this multiple times again, then uses his big hand to send him flying away. We then see Boruto's Karma visible, but he hasn't lost control, at least not yet. Jura sent flying to one of those rock formations. Kawaki is approaching him. We see Amado and Sumire looking through Kawaki's eyes. Jura takes out his book and reads it. So this just tells you, despite Kawaki putting in all this work and this damage he's doing to Jura, Jura's at this point where he, at least to some extent, seems like he's not worried. I also want to say about Boruto's Karma being visible and him not losing control yet. We all know it's a matter of time. At some point in the story this is going to happen. It just seems like this arc, I guess, is not going to be that time, though. Jura is reading his book and talking. Sumire is watching and is surprised, probably because Jura is not serious. Jura's body is partially destroyed from the bow staff's explosive power. Jura says something, but Kawaki doesn't seem to be interested and tries to blow him up with Karma Explosion, the one he was going to use to kill Code. But this time, it's on Karma version 1. Jura gets protected by the wood-style roots from the Divine Tree, and it touches Jura and heals him. So pretty much everything that just happened was for nothing in terms of damage. Jura's like Neo again. He is sitting on a throne of the wood style roots, looking down and talking to Kawaki. Kawaki seems to get pissed, tries to attack him with a big hand and base. Boruto appears alongside Kawaki. He seems to be fine now because Kawaki's deactivated his karma. Boruto also says something to Jura and Kawaki too. Jura talks too. Boruto and Kawaki are side by side with Jura in front of him. Kawaki gives Jura the middle finger. I have seen this panel. Pretty funny ass panel, I can't lie. We are then back to Konohamaru and Sarada and the rest, and we then see the Konoha flying Thunder God symbol. Boruto seems to have teleported using it along with Kawaki, and Kawaki steps on Konohamaru's face on his landing. A little funny comedic scene there, and Konohamaru does still have Matsuri's Thorn Soul. Konohamaru is mad at Kawaki. Boruto says something. We're back to Kashin Koji and Ada, and they're having a conversation. We then see Mamushi. Jura is now back to the Shinju hideout. Hidari is reading a book and talking to Jura. The final page is Hidari saying something to Jura. And all these little dialogue bits we're going to fill in as we get through like the actual pages, because I do have translations of that, thanks to Felix as well. But basically, based off this chapter, I'm thinking that Mamushi is going to be making his move next, because he's like the only Shinju that hasn't really done anything substantial yet. So might be a matter of time soon for that. So let's go over these pages. And again, if you're new here, I'm not going to be clicking the full image specifically because of copyright reasons. Shueisha seems to have a problem with it. So we are going to have a look at the pages, but we're not going to have a super close look. So translation here, the text above the cover page, it says, in Boruto's desperate moment, Kawaki appears. Can he defeat the strongest? Jura. Text on the top right says, pierce through limits and strike down the enemy. Title, Uzumaki Kawaki. So, here we are, page 1. It's the flashback where they're talking to each other. The side text says, on the day the brothers joined forces, Boruto informed Kawaki of the strategy for the battle against Jura. Kawaki says, huh? A mission in the hidden sand? Boruto says, yeah, once Amado lifts the restrictions, head over there. You're going to back up Sarada and the others. I'll move out as soon as you arrive. That'll likely trigger Jura's interference, though, but with your strength, there's still hope. Kawaki says, it's not that simple of a situation. I only saw it for a second, but his power, he's the real deal. A monster. Even all of us together might not be enough to deal with something on that level. So Kawaki already has his doubts at the start. Page 2. Kawaki's looking at that symbol that was given to him by Boruto, and Kawaki's pretty much saying, what's this? Boruto says, we can't beat Jura. Not yet. With him right in front of us, we're talking about how we survive. The most realistic option is using my flying Raijin to get everyone out at once. But there's a condition I have to clear to warp long distance. I need to mark that metal pin with my chakra and recognize it as my own. So, pretty dialogue heavy. The first 2 pages kind of with the strategy, which is good stuff to see. Then, we're back to the present, where Kawaki is fighting and Jura's charging in at him. Boruto says, while dealing with that monster, there's no way I can do it alone. It's an impossible feat. Kawaki says, I just need to make it myself, right? We just need to buy that time. And then page 4 through 7 is a lot of action panels. Alright, so to have a little bit of a closer look at them, we're going to run through it very, very quick. Here's page 4, page 5, page 6, and page 7. So a lot of action right there going on. Here's page 8. Really, really cool stuff of Kawaki hitting Jura with that big hand blow right there. Pages 9 through 12, the action still continues. Here we go. Honestly, this looks like it's going to be a pretty damn hype fight when the anime gets to it. And I'm really excited to see that when the time comes. Pages 13 to 15, it still continues on. I'm not going to enlarge these ones. But it seems like Kawaki's fighting with that staff and landing some hits. One of those is definitely from the sneak peek we got as well. Page 16, Boruto says, I'm fine. No problem. Calm down. And we see that karma fading. Page 17, we see Kawaki walking with his staff towards Jura, who was sent towards the rocks. Really, really cool stuff. Seems like Kawaki's putting in some great work this fight, and they're definitely having him show out a bit. Page 18, Sumire says, incredible. To corner that Jura this badly. Maybe just like this? Amado says, no. And Jura pulls out the book. Page 19, Uzumaki Kawaki. As expected, his combat ability now is far beyond what it's used to be. How did he gain that much power in such a short time? No, it's not just you. Uzumaki Himawari. She suddenly awakened right before my eyes and showed strength like a completely different person. So Jura's saying this while reading, and Kawaki's still in front of him. Page 20. Jura, looking back on it now, it was as if Inojin Yamanaka's sacrifice triggered it, and then there's Sarada Uchiha. She too suddenly awakened to her power, and effortlessly took down one of my kin. Sumire says Sarada did that? Jura says both cases are extraordinary, something that can't be explained by normal means. This is just my personal view, but I can't help but feel there's a common thread linking all of this. So Jura's, again, probably going to learn more about that concept of care and love right there. Page 21. Jura says, right now, my hottest research topic, it's what you'd call a love. The unique uncertainty that you humans possess. It's an undeniable fact that it can be a fatal flaw. But at the same time, it could also be the factor that enables unparalleled evolution. Kawaki, what do you think? You give me your honest opinion. Page 22, Kawaki just says you're an obnoxious pest and then fires a blast at him. Page 23, we see that explosion. Page 24, Jura says, now, don't get so heated. Kawaki, I just want to talk a little. And that's where Jura is pretty much healing up now with the tree roots. Page 25, Jura is now sitting down and with the tree roots, and he's saying, never thought you'd rush to Boruto's rescue. As far as I know, there's only one thing in this world you want to protect. It should be Uzumaki Naruto and no one else. Page 26. Jura says, I once went to visit him in the Leaf, but honestly, I think he might already be dead. But now, looking into your unwavering eyes, I knew for sure. He's alive. Uzumaki Naruto is. So, this is Jura out here trying to put some things together, and he's seeming to find out that Naruto might still be around, even though he's not really, around like that. But in that dimension, you never know what Jura might cook up here. But the fact that Naruto's mentioned, pretty cool stuff. And the fact that someone else realizes he's alive, especially a villain, I really like that. And I do hope at some point that does end up playing some sort of good role in the story. So let's see what happens. Maybe something will be said here on page 27. Jura says, hit the mark, didn't I? You're easy to read. I'm bad at lying too, just like you. I went ahead and voiced a shocking truth, knowing it would provoke you. I want to devour him. He says, Uzumaki Naruto, that is. I heard he connected with many of the tail beast. I believe love was at the core of that too. I can't help but feel that way. So, that's kind of some of Jura's reasoning right there for why he wants to devour Naruto as his target. Now that he knows that he's alive, this might be even more on Jura's mind. And we all know how much Kawaki cares about Naruto, so this is definitely something that Kawaki is not going to let slide easy. Jura says, what is love? If I devour him, maybe I'll understand it a little better. Kawaki says, you bastard, as he's getting ready to attack him, but Boruto appears by his side as well. Page 29. Sorry to keep you waiting, Kawaki. We're good to go now. I've locked onto the symbol. And Jura says, the flying Raijin, huh? It's such a shame, but it can't be helped. Looks like this is as far as we go this time. Boruto says, let's go, Kawaki. And then we head over to page 30. Kawaki says, hold on a second. Hey Jura, listen up real close. I don't care about love or any of that crap, but still. Page 31. Kawaki says, your instincts for targeting the 7th, that gut instinct of yours, I'll give you credit for it, but don't get the wrong idea. One day, I'll definitely kill you, without fail. So a little bit of praise there, but also a threat. This is a cool little moment as well. I like that. Page 32. Jura says, interesting. I appreciate the honesty. Kawaki says, I'm done here. Let's go. Jura says, Kawaki, I'm glad we got to talk. Let's meet again. So, end of the arc vibes. Page 33. Funniest panel I've seen. Probably in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, honestly. Kawaki flicking him off and Boruto standing right there by that side too, just looking back. Really, really funny stuff. So, I did find that pretty funny. Let's see. Page 34. Konohamaru says, this is Boruto's. Delta says, we were told to just leave it around here. They said it's harder to sense chakra if you're carrying it. You'd best keep a bit of distance just in case. It would suck if someone suddenly stepped on it or something, right? And Konohamaru's really close to it. And then, boom. Page 35. Konohamaru says, ow, damn it. Mitsuki says, Kawaki? Kawaki says, what the hell are you doing, bastard? And he's looking at Konohamaru on the ground. He just ended up teleporting and landing right on Konohamaru. Another funny scene. Which leads to this part too, which I also found funny, where page 36, Konohamaru is saying, that's our line, dumbass. Boruto says, sorry, sensei. You've got Thorn Soul? Or you've got the Thorn Soul? Konohamaru says, seriously, you guys. This one, right here, don't screw around, seriously. Boruto says, alright, we're flying straight to Konoha. So, hey, mission success. They have their first Thorn Soul. Let's see what they do with it now. Page 37. Hopefully they can rescue who they need to, but we'll see what happens. Page 37, Ada says, I was worried about what might happen, but for now, that's a relief. Koji says it's not exactly something to be praised. It could end up destroying an even better future. It was far too dangerous. A gamble. Boruto surviving, of course, that itself is good, but because of this latest action, the future has drastically changed once again. Ada says, isn't that fine, though? That's how it's supposed to be, right? Life, I mean. So, they're discussing that, but then page 38, Koji reveals a big thing. This isn't someone else's problem, Ada. Mamushi is moving, and you're the target. Ada says, you're kidding, right? This seriously sucks. This could honestly be setting up a moment for Damon to jump back in and fight again. We haven't seen Damon fight since he whooped Code back in, I think, chapter maybe 71 of Boruto Naruto Next Generation. So it's been a while since we've really seen Damon throw down. And we'll see what happens, in this fight if he's got to defend Ada over here. Especially against Shinju. So we'll see what Damon versus Mamushi looks like. Page 39. So we're near the end now. Hidari says, you, what's with that face? Are you feeling sick or something? Jura says, it's the opposite, Hidari. Listen to this. Kawaki actually praised me. And honestly, this is one of the funniest pictures too from this chapter. If you look at the upper left right there, I'm sure you guys have seen that kind of picture meme before. So, I found that a little bit funny as well. Hidari says, it's a word that I learned just a bit ago, though. There's one that fits perfectly right now. And that's what page 40 comes to be, where Jura's like, oh, what kind of word? Hidari says, disgusting as hell. And that's where the chapter ends. Another funny little scene right there, funny little line for Hidari. Side text, he was just happy to be praised and Hidari had to ruin it with one of his freshly learned words. The end. And that pretty much ends off chapter 24 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, and I also think that it ends off this whole sand rescue arc that we just had. I'm excited to see where things go from here. Definitely, stuff can be very open-ended going forward. Um, I'm definitely pretty excited though to see where things head. But I like the spoilers, and hopefully next month I think next month we're going to get a little bit more of a cool down, but we are going to progress on some ends of the story. So it should be interesting to see what happens. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the spoilers. Hopefully you guys are too. Definitely let me know what you guys think of everything in the comments below. But that's going to wrap up this one. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.